Economics and politics are the foundation of human development.
While forming the world's earliest civilizations, Africans also laid the groundwork for the creation of economic systems.
By learning from our history, we gain the strength to empower the present and design the future. Presenting the premier forum for truth, culture, and change. HAPI Talks. Join us as we unlock the secrets to our success. Peace, family. It's so good to be with you guys today. My little buddy Hassan Williams will not be joining us tonight. He is traveling with his family, so it's just moi today. But family, we have a good show ahead. These three financial money people, they're about to get us straight about the black dollar. All right, before we get started, let's just go, our regular stuff that we say every single time. First, family, make sure that you are liking, that you are subscribed. Okay, it's very important to be subscribed to the YouTube channel and to the Facebook channel, but make sure that you are liking, commenting, and sharing the video. It's cool when you guys sign on and you look at the show, or if you look at the show later, but it's even better when you look at the show and then you share it with someone else. That way they can get the knowledge too, and it trips the algorithm so that more people just have access to see it. And that's the whole goal, getting this information out. And family, we can't do it without each other. Okay. The black dollar doesn't work unless we're all working together. So family, if you could just make sure you like and share, and make a little comment on the video. All right. We are, I don't know if you guys can see, I got old school HAPI on today, HAPI t-shirt. We have a clearance sale. If you go to hapifilm.com, you can check to see all the merchandise we have. Also, hapifilm.com has everything. Okay. So not only can you go and check out the merchandise, but also you can subscribe to the newsletter. Now, the newsletter is really important because there's a lot of times we put stuff in the newsletter before we even put it out to anyone else. And it's very important for us to be able to have a mechanism that's outside social media. And it's interesting, and we'll get the information from Dr. Malveaux, because she also has a newsletter that she sends out, which is really dope. Okay, so we craft this information for you guys on a weekly and monthly basis so that you can stay informed and know what's going on. Okay, because now in the age of technology, there's no reason for us not to know something. All right, so family, go to hapifilm.com, hit the get connected button, and get connected to the newsletter. The other piece, we are almost up to 40K on YouTube. Like, we're real close. So all you people who just look at us because we show up on your feed, we need for you to actually subscribe to the news channel, and make sure you hit the little notifications button, because when you hit that little button, then every time we go live, you automatically get a notification that we're live, and you can check us out. Because we always have good stuff when we're live. Like tonight, we're giving away another ticket for the Happy and Shy event that's happening in July. So see, if you're not live and you're watching this tomorrow, you're gonna be feeling some type of way because you missed out on getting a free ticket. All right. So family, make sure if that you're subscribed and you're looking at us live. Also, make sure you subscribe to all of our social media handles. We're on Facebook, YouTube, X, and TikTok, and Instagram at HAPI Film. All right. And HAPI, the movie, the documentary, the award-winning documentary, it is now available on Amazon Prime, Quayle TV, and Tubi. It is an excellent documentary that really looks at the black dollar, where it came from, and what we're doing with it right now. So family, make sure if you haven't seen this film, and I don't know, quite honestly, I don't know anybody watching this HAPI Talks right now. Everyone should have watched this film once or two times, and then they should have actually sent it to someone else. I watched it a lot of times because a lot of times I need inspiration. Every time I watch it, I find something new. But family, make sure that you have at least seen this film at least 3 times. I'm gonna say 3 times because it's long, and you have to get all the information. All right, let's see. And the other piece is the Cash App, the HAPI Cash App. So family, like this is a perfect example of how when you guys donate to the Cash App, or if you get stars on Facebook, or if you hit the super chat on YouTube, that money directly goes into other Black people's hands. And it also is helping us to be able to have the tickets at a discounted rate for this event, the Happy and Shy, and really all the events we do. All the graphics that you see, all those things, that's all done by other Black people. And this Cash App, when you guys hit it, even if it's $1, $2, $3, we are not trying to be in anybody's pocketbook. Whatever you can give, we appreciate it, because it helps support what the HAPI movement is doing. All right. So you can see it right there. It's $HAPI Film, or you can go to PayPal at HAPI Film. All right. So the Happy and Shy event, and family, this is okay, if I can find it. Okay, here we go. Oh, no, that's Dr. Harris. We're going to talk about that too. He got a lot of good stuff coming up. I'm sorry, fam. The Happy and the Shy event starts July 24th to July 26th. And why is it not popping up? I tell you, we've had all types of little snafus here with this. Here we go. All right. Happy and the Shy. It's July 24th to the 26th. It's in Chicago, Illinois. This is going to be fun. We have 16 people. And the cool thing about this, so tonight, all the shows that we're going to be doing on HAPI Talks up until this event are all going to be speakers. So everyone that we are, that you're going to see at this event is going to come on HAPI Talks within the next couple of weeks. We're like 3 weeks into this campaign. So tonight, all 3 guests are going to be in person at this Happy and Shy conference. Dr. Ken Harris, he has actually hosted all of our HAPI conferences. This is his 3rd time. So we are really excited. We love how Ken hosts. Ken knows how to work a room. He does not play around. So this event, July 24th to 26th. So let's talk about it real quick. On Friday, that's the first day. In the morning, we're going to have, we're going to be at the Oriental Museum. Now they call it the Isaacs, the Institute of Ancient Culture. We're going to witness and go through the Nubian exhibit. And we're going to look at the Kistal burner, the incense burner, which we show it in HAPI, but a lot of people haven't seen it. And so you'll be paired up with either Jabari Ozazi or Infudisi Juhutimus, and they're going to take you through the museum. Later on that evening, we're going to be at the DeSable Education Museum, and Baina Bello and Dr. George Frazier, they're going to be there to welcome everyone. They're going to talk a little bit. We'll be able to look at the exhibits, network, and do all that fun stuff. The next day is the day of the conferences, okay? We have panel discussions. We're going to have speakers speaking. We have a HAPI marketplace. We have vendors. And if you want to vend, we still have a couple tables left if you try to get your vending, because it's going to be, if you've been to any other HAPI event, you've seen that there's like 1,000 people fit in one spot trying to buy stuff. So family, if you even thinking about vending, this is where you want to be. All right. And everything is on happyfilm.com. If you want to vend, if you want to take part in the commemorative book. And the cool thing about this is every person that is speaking at the event is going to also have an article in the book. This is the old book. This is the book from One Africa, our first Power and Unity conference. And every single speaker had their picture in it, a little short bio, but they also had an article that's centered around Black unity. And so if you want to, we also have ad space, and that's how you can sponsor and become one of the sponsors of the Happy and Shy event. Again, you can find information about this on happyfilm.com. Also, if you're going to stay, and if you're not, coming, if you're not coming like from Chicago, like if you're not living in town, we're going to all be staying at the Study. which is at the University of Chicago. It's a beautiful hotel. And if you go to happyfilm.com, you'll see a button where you can actually get a discounted ticket. Okay. A discounted, stay at the hotel. So it's really worth, this conference is really nicely priced. And then the last piece is on Sunday. Sunday, we're going to have a luncheon. We have a keynote speaker. And after that, that's it. And family, it's really important to be in space with each other. It's nice when we do these virtuals, we can get some information out, but there's something to be said about being in the same space with someone. And this is going to be one of these events that you want to be there, because we're going to have 16 different voices that are all going to talk about healing through unity. All right. And I'm going to go over the people real fast. So we have Dr. Ken Harris. He's going to be the host. We have Bayina Bello, Infudishi Juhuti Miss, Jabari Ozazi. We have Queen of Four, Dr. Malveaux, who is with us tonight, Crystal, who is with us also tonight, Robin Walker, Dr. Obari Cartman, Dr. George Frazier, Nuri Muhammad, Dr. Boyce Watkins, and we will have Mapanga, Mara Ra, and Dr. Milana Karenga. They will be virtual. Okay. So family, that's all these diverse voices all in one space. So family, this is what you need to do for the summer. Okay. If you're not coming with us to Africa, because we have a HAPI in Africa trip that we'll talk about at the end of this talk. So if it's either one or two, that's what Hassan and I said. Either you're going to come to Africa with us, or you can come to the HAPI and the Shy. Either one, it'll 100% change your life. All right, family. So I think I think we're good with everything. All right. So I cannot wait. Let me remove this. All right. So I'm going to bring in Dr. Malveaux, Crystal, and Dr. Harris. There we go. How y'all doing?
How you doing?
I'm telling you, I'm loving that afro.
Right. How about them Knicks?
I ain't gonna talk about that. I don't do sports.
You know what? Yeah, it's been wild.
But I know that people have lost their collective minds. They're out in the streets, and bye-bye. And at least Bonehead did not show up. That man who lives in a house that enslaved people built, he knew to keep his hind parts home. That man who lives in a house that enslaved people, I have to tell y'all, it ain't Christian. My pastor told me, don't pray for nobody's death. So I ain't praying for his death. I'm just praying that the ancestors start dancing on the beams they put up there, and one of them just kind of cut loose.
Oh my!
I'm not praying for his death again. I mean, maybe it would just hit him upside the head and knock some good sense into it. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, and it's interesting because a lot of New Yorkers were talking about that, how people who are really not from New York and people who just want to be disruptors, they were given the whole celebration a bad name, because there was plenty of places where everyone was just having a good time and celebrating, with the Knicks last night. And yeah.
Were you in Harlem or Brooklyn?
I was in all 4 of the 5 boroughs last night. So it was.
She had a little limo that was running her from spot to spot to spot to spot.
Oh, I wish I had a limo. That would have been kind of cool.
And did you go by our little spot that right near your house, the black-owned spot?
I started off there.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was a very
her business in the street. Do not be putting her business. Everybody don't know where she lives. Come on, brother.
I tried to keep it mineral.
I don't know you, but you're about to get a verbal beatdown. You're coloring outside the lines.
Yeah, Dr. Harris and I, we go way back.
Apparently, but he's still incorrect.
But yes, no, it was
he ain't, otherwise he would be laughing.
Yeah, we had it was a good night last night. It was nice that, it's nice to just have some goodness happening and everyone's spirit. It was just really It was really nice. All right, family, we're gonna talk about the black dollar. And the interesting thing is that this is like, we keep coming back to this. When you look at HAPI, we talk about where the black dollar started, how many black dollars we have, and but we seem to be back at this same spot. So I really want to dissect this idea of the black dollar and how can we use it, what we have been doing with it, and how we can use it going forward. All right. But one of the first things, and we're going to sort of jump around, but this is a hot topic, and it's so interesting. It's interesting. As soon as I signed on, Hassan texted me. He's like, "Ask him about boycotting." And I was like, "My questions."
Come on now.
Yeah. So let's talk about this boycotting. So right now, with the murder of Cyrus Carmack Belton, there has been a lot of Black people. I don't know about necessarily organizations, but they're talking about this, that we need to be boycotting Asian businesses. Okay, so then the Asians came back. It's like, you know what, you guys can keep talking. Doesn't really matter because we pretty much own everything, and you can't if you want to live, you're gonna have to use our products. So it doesn't matter. You're just going to talk.
Don't have to use their product. That's
Exactly.
the arrogance. That's the arrogance. We
Yeah.
don't have to use a GD thing
Exactly.
that other people produce, and we need to be clear about that. Let's be clear that if we worked in concert, if we worked, we could shut anybody down.
Absolutely.
Food stores operate on like a 2% margin. So if we stop buying food from X, whatever X was, they would go broke. Go broke. So we could say, I ain't buying X from X from X. I ain't calling nobody out just yet, but push me and I will. Not only that, I mean, the Asian hegemony in Black neighborhoods is very challenging. And I can tell you stories going way back to when I lived in New York. I beat this boy with a baseball bat one time who accused me of stealing fruit. I don't need to steal your fruit. I picked up an apricot. I put it back down because it was spoiled. And then the man came running at me and I hit him with a baseball bat. Okay, so the statute of limitations is over with. So, yeah, I did it. If anybody's looking, yeah, I did it. I don't care. But again, there has been a level of hostility towards us, accusing us, and they're Los Angeles. I have all the cases in front of me accusing us of stealing when we're not, just because our presence is a threat to them. But even more than that, we could boycott, but we don't operate in concert. What do I mean by that? Reverend Willie Barrow. Many of you, Detroit, Chicago people remember her. She was a number 2 to Reverend Jackson. She said, "We're not so much divided as we are disconnected," which means we don't really talk to each other. And what that means is that if we don't talk to each other, we can't work in concert. But if we don't work in concert, we can't make a difference. And so we have $1.8 billion. Is that 1.8 billion?
Trillion.
1.8 trillion.
Brilliant.
1.8 trillion, which is like almost $2 trillion. We could basically shut anybody down if we wanted to. We have 3 flaws. Number 1, we're consumers. We love to buy shit. Excuse my language. But we just like to buy shit. We feel good, we buy. We feel bad, we buy. We got a new man, we buy because we got a new man. Lose the man, we buy because we got to get over that. We buy because we're hungry. We buy because we ain't hungry. We buy because we won't bling. We buy because we're tired of bling. We buy. And all that buying does not serve us. At some point, we need to say, we ain't buying. But we are consumers. Why? Because we're American. It's not a character flaw. It's living in these United States, where basically we're told that our worth is what we buy. So that's our number one. That's our number 1 flaw. Our number 2 flaw is that we're not careful about our money. What do I mean by that? We allow banks and others to exploit us. We allow them to exploit us in all kinds of ways. High interest rates. financial discrimination, all of that. And then number three, we are not teaching our children. Well, we need to teach them about money. So we are in a space where we're doing this spit. I'm trying to keep my language clean, but it's like Sunday night. I try to get all my cussing out Sunday night so I can start over Monday, and then I got to get it out Monday night too because I got to start over Tuesday. It's just kind of like that. But anyway, Felicia used to me. Y'all ain't. It's all good. Why are you laughing, Felicia?
No, because I think we're all used to you. I think we're pretty much all used to you.
Okay. But anyway, we basically have some issues that if we could be more connected in the ways of Reverend Barrow, we could do things. We could shut people down. We could shut companies down. Why are we buying from people who are killing us?
Exactly.
Why are we buying from companies that basically condone our genocide? I mean, these are the questions that we need to look at. I mean, when George Floyd was murdered, all these corporations came and said, we gonna do this, we gonna do this, we gonna do this. You know what they did? They created templates to benefit themselves. So banks jumped in and said, well, we'll give you loans. Well, they weren't free loans. They were interest-bearing loans. And of the monies pledged, very little of them were actually given. So I know I've been going on my soapbox, so whenever I get going too long, Felicia, you know how to cut me off, and you can do that. But all I'm saying is we need to understand the power of the Black dollar and how we could use it better. I'll stop there because I know that Dr. Harris is going to pick up on that. I'm passing the mic over to him, pick up on that because I know he does that too.
Yeah, Ken, Dr. Harris.
Question. One, let me just thank you for, on a new moon Sunday in Gemini, the African presence, Black presence is prevalent. And I hope everyone watching this show sees why the Black woman is the epicenter of all humanity. And I just want to take my hat off to you three ladies and just welcome myself to your show in all of its beauty. So thank you so much and intelligence. And based on the ball that was handed to me, I think Dr. Malveaux is 100% right. But even in that rightness, as we look at a $2 trillion economy, we look at the power of that. The question is asked through all the boycotts. We have to study our history in order to know how to effectively boycott. Just saying that we're going to boycott for the simple fact of boycotting without any real attainable objectives in the seeking of measurable results, all it is noise. So when we think about the Montgomery bus boycott that lasted 381 days, that sparked the arrest of Rosa Parks, that led to the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that ended segregation in public buses, demonstrated the power that we could come together as a unit. You think about the anti-apartheid movement, which demonstrated global consumer investment and trade boycotts in South Africa, which shut down the South African government when combined with what they wanted to achieve, which was the sanctions, the disinvestment, and the diplomatic pressure that allowed for them to start to aim for political freedom. And you think about other groups that did the same thing as well. But when we boycott, we must have an objective. Consumers must be willing to change habits, to endure it with a unified message. The Target company that was just recently boycotted, there were several different campaigns going on at one time. You had Black businesses who were on the shelves at that time. No one had talked to the Black businesses that were actually receiving millions of dollars in procurement contracts at that time. Some of those businesses went out of business because of the boycott. And then when I think about that type of failed strategy, in my opinion, in comparison to when we actually used to work together. When you boycott something, you need to have something of your own that you own and control of your own. So where is the Black-owned Target, right? So when I boycott Target, where do I tell my people to go? Before 1964, when we did a boycott, we had the grocery stores. We had the businesses in our neighborhoods that we could support. We had all of the different industries and sectors that we could send our people to and still live a certain quality of life. So when we look at where we are today and how we boycott and the messaging behind that and the objectives, then we have to be very strategic. And so, just because we spend, $2 trillion, that does not mean economic power. Economic power means when you own and control your economic destiny. And reason why we were able to be successful with the bus boycott in Montgomery is because Black businesses supported that boycott, right? So just think about those scenarios. I know Crystal, she's the financial genius. We got the economic guru with Dr. Malveaux, but this is the discussion that we have to have, because if we're going to move forward in the future, looking at where we are today, 62 years post the civil rights movement, Black businesses are at the bottom of every economic stratus in society. So we have actually taken steps backwards to where we were prior to the signing of the Civil Rights Act economically in just about every single economic indicator. So we need to reset. Boycotts are great. We need a better strategy. We need a more unified strategy. But most importantly, we need to own and control our own destinies.
Absolutely.
Dr. Harris, one of the things that you've said that's really important about boycotts, we have to have metrics. Yep. Because we have a lot of brothers and sisters who saber rattle. We go boycott this, we go boycott that. We need to make sure that our boycotts are effective. If we say we're going to boycott 6 months, 9 months, a year later, then people still in business, what did we do? And so we have to really create metrics around the rhetoric we have. And I just need to say that because all too often we don't have the metrics. We talk and spit. We are talking spit, and that's not useful, because then now what Jamal Bryant did, I think, was effective. I think we could prove that was effective, but then it dissipated because Negro egos got in the way, and a whole lot of people started. I'm not gonna call names today, unless you push me. And if you push me, I will spill. But y'all know who I'm talking about. Let somebody do what they're doing. I'm gonna stop. Sister Crystal, forgive me. I've had a word up in this, and you need to have many words up in this. So please forgive me.
Oh, you're muted, Crystal.
Yeah, your lips is moving. I ain't hear nothing.
No worries. I love the conversation, and we talk about boycott, and both of you have injected this in here. It can't just be we're gonna boycott. Boycotts are reactionary, and we have to be proactive in what it is that we're doing, right? We can't just always react to what someone else does to us. We have to have a plan for us before that even happens, so that we have places to turn. And so, we often talk about supporting these Black businesses. I don't even like the term, because supporting says to me that we're doing them a favor. Like when we're going and buying these name brands, we're not saying I'm supporting, Gucci or I'm supporting Louis Vuitton. So we're not supporting Black businesses. It should be our first train of thought. However, there is a healing that we as a people individually and collectively have to do. And if we don't do it, we don't even understand all of the layers and all of the wounds that are running our money story that says, I can't even think about supporting a Black business because there's so many other things going on in my mind, in my home, in all of the things. you know, when when Brother Muhammad was on here and we talked about that, and afterwards I was talking to my mother and I said, it's hard for us to unite as a people because some of us are not united in our households.
That's right.
So how do we then come outside and say, well, now I'm going to go in and I'm going to shop at all of these Black-owned places only? Again, we got to go back and heal those wounds that are running our financial story. And until we do that, this is just my opinion, until we start to heal individually, the things that we're saying will never happen on a wide scale because we're still wounded as a people.
So you know what? So can we wound and also unify at the same time? Like, can we be on a healing journey and, you know, and also put down a strategic plan, like Dr. Harris is talking about, that's, you know, that can really help us to get onto this financial independence that we need?
Yeah, Felicia, look, let's feed off of that energy and vibration.
Is this healing journey, right? And so I indicated and identified 12 financial wounds. So when you ask that question, which is a valid question, but if I have a worthy wound, right? If a worthy wound is running my financial story, right? I don't see the value. I don't have enough value in me. So if I don't have the value that I believe, you know, that I'm worth this, then I can't see that in you, right? And so and it's showing up. You know, people go to therapy because, okay, I keep getting in these bad relationships with the same type of people because I don't have enough self-worth for somebody to treat me a certain kind of way. But it also shows up in your money story. You're not going to save your money. You're not going to shop with people that look like you. It shows up in your job. You're not going for higher paying positions. And if you get them, or if you get a new job, you're not negotiating your value. You're not negotiating that salary because that wound is running your money story. It's also showing up in how you run your business. You're not pricing right, right? So all of those things. So when you say, can we do them both? It's very hard for somebody to have these wounds and then say, I'm going to do this thing on a collective level. Some of us, we get it right, but a lot of us still haven't even addressed the wounds. They won't even talk about their money, let alone see the power of uniting with one another.
Sis, I want to ask you a question because I'm dealing with some people who are really I'm an economist. I talk about the bottom line. I'm not trying to do the woo-woo, wah-wah, kumbaya, forget my language, shit. I want to get to the bottom line. But a lot of people are really into the woundedness, and I ain't feeling that. What am I missing?
We want people to do a thing when they don't even know why they operate the way that they do, right? If I don't know why I operate the way that I do, how can I operate intentionally to do something for my good?
Do we have to stop and do healing before we can do building?
No, it happens at the same time. But if I don't know that these wounds are impacting me, it's hard for the average individual to then see the value in building. And if it were just that easy, we really wouldn't be on this phone. We wouldn't be on this podcast today because we would have already done it.
First of all, let me take that even further. You know, this healing aspect. So let's take that to a structural conversation. If you are not individually financially secure, then it's hard for you to attract a mate to build a family that is going to have a financially stable household. Yes. If you don't have a financially stable family and household, you therefore have a fractured community from an economic perspective. If you don't have a fractured community,
why do you brothers always go to attracting a mate?
Yep.
Why do you brothers always go to attracting a mate? All women ain't trying to attract no mate. Some of us are just trying to be alive and thrive.
Just listen to my structural point. My structural point is saying that without economically sound individuals, without economically sound households, without economically sound communities, it's hard to build a national message. And what we had prior to 1964 was a lot stabler household, therefore being able to support a communicable and national message. We don't have that same structure in place today. So there is.
I would challenge that. I would look forward to a conversation. We could. This is not the place or the time, but I would look forward to a conversation to delve deep into that, because one of the things that we do is that we devalue a group of people. We devalue single women. We devalue differently. Sir, I'm talking.
Yeah.
Never mind. I think that I would like you. Like I said, I would like to have a conversation where we could delve deep into this. But yeah, when you say women need to be financially stable so they can attract a mate, no, women need to be financially stable so they can sustain themselves. I heard what you said.
I didn't single out women. I did not. I said
yes, you did.
I said individuals. I didn't single out gender. I didn't do that. I did that.
I'll go back and listen, but I think you did.
Yeah, no, I'm letting you know what I said.
Don't you let me know what GD thinks.
I'm letting you know what I said.
And I'm letting you know what I heard.
Okay, so
what I said was individually leads to individuals who are economically sound attract other individuals who are economically sound, which builds.
Unless they want to be economically sound by themselves.
What's that?
Unless they want to be economically sound by themselves. You are offering a heteronormative model.
My whole point of narrative was for the larger structure of a national boycott with a national message supported by community and family.
You got away from the boycott. You got away from the boycott. We're on the same stage with the boycott. We're not on the stage with some of the other things that you had to say. I look forward to delving into this conversation.
We don't have to agree or
we don't.
I respect your opinion and your thoughts, but from a structural standpoint, what I am saying is that we need to not only have strong foundations to be able to contribute to movements as we once did in the past. Those structures do not exist today. So therefore, we must have a new structural economic agenda. That's all that I'm saying.
Yeah, but you do a lot of shade in that. But that's all right. I'm going to let it go for the moment.
Okay, so all right, we're gonna definitely come back to that, because I want to, you guys said some things that's really interesting, that's really powerful about boycotting that I didn't think about, and just in terms, I know, like, just personally, when I hear a story, whatever, I'm like, oh, I'm not going back there. But I don't need that on the national level, even if I'm in my community. If someone doesn't show me the right way or whatever, I'm just like, oh, I'm just never going back there, and especially if they don't look like me. If they look like me, they got probably 1,200 chances. I'll be coming back because I understand what that is to be a business owner and to just know what that is. But how do in terms of boycotting, what is effective boycotting? Like who decides who's going to set the agenda for the boycotting? Like, who should we be looking towards for that to happen?
Well, like Reverend Willie Barrow said, we're not so much divided as we are disconnected. What that means is who calls a boycott, who adheres to the boycott, what happens. We know what happened with Rosa Parks. More than a year, these people refused to get on those buses. For more than a year. It was enormous hardship. There was political violence. There was people were getting tickets for running jitneys, really, in neighborhoods. Sisters were walking to do their household work. White women actually were crossing picket lines to bring their household workers home because their lazy white behinds could not do their own work. So they had to go get their workers to, only I would put it that way, but that is the truth. But in any case, the question is, how do we work in concert? I think that what Jamal Bryant did with Target was brilliant. I think that it was co-opted by a number of people at a point in time. But what we know about Target is, guess what? Their sales went down. Their stock went down. So we can attest, trust, and believe that was an effective boycott. The question is, what are the mechanics of a boycott, And as I said earlier, what are our metrics? We have to be able to show that boycotts are effective. If we can't show that they're effective, then it just becomes a lot of saber rattling. And, people start talking a lot of spin. We're going to boycott this, we're going to boycott that. We have to have a better central mechanism to talk about how we withdraw our dollars. We have nearly 2 trillion of them. How do we withdraw our dollars to hurt people?
So,
I would also add that, I would challenge the effectiveness of that boycott. One, Target has not had a dent in its operations. Target has not changed its DEI policies. Target is basically stepped 2 feet into what they promised before. And then we have to get away from individual personality-driven politics and economics and get into more institutional-driven economics. The reason why the Montgomery bus boycott was successful is because they went to the basics, planning. It wasn't just one leader that was identified for the boycott. It was a group of national leaders who got behind closed doors, and they planned for months on what they were going to do. It was a unified institutional strategy. And so when you get away from personality-driven politics, I believe that's where we fail. And what you've seen for the past 62 years are individuals who purport or are perceived to represent the collective Black community. And I would even say, anytime you have a pastor leading an economic revolution, that's problem number 1. That should be led by the Black business community if you're talking about boycotting from an economic standpoint. So there's a bunch of flaws. It's not to call it out, but I just challenge the strategy that we must move away from individual personality-driven economics and politics to institutional-driven economics and politics. Once we come together as institutions, we therefore can support individuals in their efforts to lead a successful boycott.
And I think we need to move away from wanting to hurt an organization and put the focus on building up our organizations.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, instead of, this company did this to us, so now we want to hurt them. Well, let's be intentional every single day. And where is not the boycott plan, but where is the plan to say we're going to shop our own? This is why, and this is how. And until we do that, we're always going to be reactionary. We're always going to be behind, and we're going to continue to have the same conversation over and over again. We have to shift what it is that we're doing and where we're going in order to see mass change.
So, at the same time, frankly, actions have consequences, and we have to be clear that actions have consequences. When a Target discriminates against our people, we need to withdraw our patronage. There are a number of other. Target is not the best example, but it's an example. I mean, frankly, I love the Douglas Turner Ward play, Days of Absence. What happens when Black people simply disappear? Because there would be no United States of America were it not for the foundational aspect of Black labor. And what if that Black labor simply disappeared? What, now we're not, we got our Latino brothers and sisters who take some of those jobs. But I'm just saying we need to be willing to flex our economic muscle. And too many of us are afraid to do that. I use Target because it's easy. But there are others. I disagree with the NAACP. They want Black athletes to boycott. I think that's wrong. These are kids.
Absolutely.
These are young people. We cannot use them as basically chess pieces. Some of them have gotten opportunities that they wouldn't have otherwise. But I think we need to look at other places where we can be pivotally impactful. And I don't mind, Sister Wood, with all due respect, I don't mind hurting people. They've been hurting us. They've been hurting us since we got here. And so if we got to do a little hurting, why the F not.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting when we're talking about the boycotting piece versus, or maybe we need to do both, but also just building up of our Black ecosystem. So do you think right now, do we have enough businesses to be in an ecosystem, to be independent?
Yeah, 100%. But we're at a point right now. Black folks got to have a heart to heart with themselves. We're not where we were 60 years ago. We're not where we were 80 years ago, 90 years ago. We weren't even where we were during the Renaissance movement or post-Reconstruction. When you look at the 3.8 million Black-owned businesses in the United States, 96% of those businesses are one-employee firms, home-based business. Okay, so I'm giving you the raw statistics.
Mm-hmm.
You think about the economic symmetry of one-employee firms being able to have a tremendous impact. The potential is there. And what I mean by the potential is we got to get back to the basics. We got to help develop a new pipeline of economics. If you look at the Black Enterprise 100 magazine over the past 60 years, or since it was founded in the 1970s, and you go back, most of those businesses, every single generation, there is a new BE 100 list. So we don't even have generation to generational wealth, or we don't even pass businesses on or have what I call, there is no true success without succession. We don't succeed our businesses. So what you have, even with our sustainable businesses in America, is less than 1.4%. Mm-hmm. And those are businesses with more than 10 employees, right? And we can count those businesses on two hands. Mm-hmm. I know who those folks are. Robert L. Smith. We can go to, through all of the names. Bridgewater Interiors with Ron Hall. I can name you our 1.4% of Black businesses. Is that small. And most importantly, now that we are transitioning into what I call a new industrial age, the digital, the AI industrial age, we're going to lose an entire generation of businesses to that. But another generation of businesses will be created. So what you see now in the BE 100s, where you saw large manufacturing firms with GM and Ford and Stellantis and Toyota and all of the folks that we work with the National Business League, what you're seeing right now is they are not the leading businesses anymore. The leading businesses are your tech industry businesses, mm-hmm. the worldwide technologies, etc. So my whole point is, this is the great shift. Not everybody's going to make it in this new shift. It happens. It's called Schumpeterian theory in economics, where there's disruption. Disruption causes an entire new situation for business owners to reemerge because of that disruption. But most importantly, we got to go back to the basics. We got to start training businesses in our neighborhoods. We got to get them the Crystal Gunns, the Dr. Malveaux. We got to start teaching them how to build sustainable enterprises that hire in their communities, have employees, produce a W-2, have financial health associated with it. We got to tell them not to do business, but to do business. And when we do business, what I mean is, do you even have a performance statement? Do you have a growth plan? Do you have a website? Are you technology embedded? Do you have a digital platform? Are you embracing AI to market your company? So we are at a critical point in society, not just through race or whatever connotation that exists, but as Black people. This is an opportunity for those who can make the shift. Those who cannot make the shift will not make it into the future. And so as we talk about boycotts, as we talk about working together, we have to have sustainable economics. Okay, boycotts are defensive. Economic sovereignty and ownership is offensive.
Yeah.
So I disagree. I agree with you about 50%, and I disagree with you about 50%. The part I agree with you on is the fact that, yes, we have to be offensive and not defensive. We have to do the kind of training. I mean, I am just cracking up. when I finish my lynching book, my next book is going to be about the future of work. And, everybody's freaking out about AI without looking at what the underpinning of this is and whether or not we're in a stage. We got about 20 some years to train our young people and to deal with our business people because it's delayed. But the part that so on one hand, I think you're right about the training. On the other hand, I think I'm not putting people into a panic mode. And a lot of people are putting people into a panic mode. Oh, shit, AI is coming. They're coming to get our jobs. Not really. I mean, there are going to be a lot of other things that occur. We're in what I consider a middle mode. At some point, a whole bunch of jobs are going away. Right now, jobs are reshifting. But what I think that we have to really think about in terms of the job market, which is where most Black people get their sustenance and their survival, is the job market. Many of us, in fact, most of us, don't have an investment portfolio to carry us for months, if not years, without a job. So the question is what we do in the meantime. And the part of the issue is whether or not our legacy civil rights organizations frequently talk about employment are not talking about employment with a future technology lens on it. And I think that's at some level where we are when we talk about the economy. We have to talk about the lens that we put on issues of economy, lens at which we talk about how we bring our young people up. One of my greatest challenges, individually, collectively, institutionally, is what we're doing with our young people. As a former college president, I look at curriculum. I look at what we're offering. I'm concerned that we're not really being forward thinking. And the forward thinking piece, I think, is missing from some of our conversation, frankly. All of us, mine as well. So,
yes. So I understand, everyone's, talking about AI, digital, but, when we think about being able to just do our regular day-to-day as a Black person, our day-to-day things that we do throughout the week, going to the dry cleaners, going to the barber shop, I'm going to the grocery store, just basic things that we need for our survival. Where is there a connection between our babies, like in high school, not being taught a trade? Like, it seems like we're just like forgetting about the whole trade piece, in this conversation. And is that something that we can lean into as Black folks? Because we used to do all of those jobs, and now there's a lot of different people that don't look like us that are doing those basic level, foundational jobs.
Yeah, 100. Crystal, go ahead. I don't want to overwhelm you. You're an expert in this financial piece, but I definitely, this is my thing with the future of jobs and technology. Yeah.
Felicia, that's a great point that you mentioned. And even when Dr. Malveaux talked about what are we teaching our children, right? There was a point where it went from the trades to go get this college degree. Now, I'm not saying don't go get the college degree, but you also could go get that trade. But it's one of those things where we talk about what happens and what should happen or what could happen. What if we went back to those things and says those things and those jobs that other people don't want to do, right? Those trades, those skilled trades, those things that AI cannot take over. You still need that human person in there, even if it's AI surrounds the business. What if we focused on those as a people, right? Because they're not going away. So what if that's what we taught some of our children, that these are the type of things that you can do. And again, I don't think we're in a place of either or. I think it's both and in all of these areas. It's boycott and be intentional with going in and making sure that we're, spending our money in businesses that looks like us. It's okay, go to college and go get, skilled trades. It's not this one singular method or road or journey that's gonna solve our problem. I think we have to look at the collective of it and says, where are we going to master in these areas? And then the more we master in these areas, the more areas that we master. And again, I'm always going to come back and talk about the individual healing, because that's part of the reason that we don't master in some of these areas. We can't get around healing all of the things that have been layered on top of us. That winds up running that money story that says, I'm not going to intentionally go 2 miles further to go to this dry cleaners when it's one just down the street.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Chris. I mean, from an economic perspective, I'm just like Dr. Malveaux. I'm an economist too. So I look at things from a data standpoint first. But in our cultural exhibit, since 1964 to 2026, we were taught to go to college to get a job. Today is not about getting a job. It's about creating a job. So the mindset has to shift, because we are now moving into what I believe is a different workforce. The AI and digitalization of America and the world has impacted not just Black folks, it's impacting everyone, regardless of race, creed, color, sexual orientation, gender, culture, whatever specific label you want to put on it. Thousands of white male executives, thousands of Black women, thousands of Black males and youth are being laid off and not able even to get back into the job market, because it has changed tremendously. So, but what you are finding is that this next industry, this next workforce will be based on skill set, and their ability to be able to provide a solution for an economic problem. And it's almost funny. You think about my organization that was founded by Booker T. Washington, and he founded the Tuskegee Institute in 1881 purely on the trades. He saw this 126 years ago.
Right.
So now when we talk about who is right, and people are going back to the trades, and Booker T said, use your heads, your hand, and your hearts and take on a trade, because the only way to true freedom in a capitalistic country is through enterprise ownership and development. And so now that we are coming back 120, you see everybody popping up with Booker T. Washington themes now, people coming back around, oh, Booker T was right, things of that nature, because he
Booker T was never right. Booker T, don't make me laugh. Don't make me laugh, brother.
Building businesses, owning property, acquiring land, developing industries, creating jobs, building institutions, controlling capital, and the whole thing. If we don't own and control and produce after we stop buying, then what are we doing with the $2 trillion? So we got to really look at the foundational mechanisms and learn from all of our ancestors, not just Booker T, not just Marcus Garvey, not just Dr. Du Bois, not just women. We need to take our collective energy and historical reference and use their best practices for the future. And one thing
Booker T. Washington pulverized and destroyed newspapers. He pulverized and destroyed. I'm talking now. I let you bloviate.
You're cutting me off,
and I did not interrupt you. So give me the courtesy of allowing the same thing, or not. Maybe you don't want to. In which case, I'll just stop.
No. I give deference to you. Go ahead. Finish your point, Dr. Malveaux.
Well, my point is that those of you who idolize Booker T missed the of some of the negative, ugly underbelly of his work. I don't disparage the good part of his work. I think Tuskegee Institute was a great place, but I think it's also important.
It's a great place.
Again, I'm gonna listen. Since you don't want me to talk, I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to
go ahead, Dr. Malveaux. I just love you so much. Go ahead, sis.
You love me so much that you don't want me to finish the sentence. And that's okay. And that's okay. I understand that you idolize this man who obliterated several black newspapers because people did not agree with him. Because we have to be clear. Like I said, I will not disparage the accomplishments of Booker T. Washington and Tuskegee Institute, whatever you want to call it, is a great place. And it stands on his shoulders. But what I would also say is some of the things he did to our community were downright evil. Downright evil. Because he shut down our newspapers because they didn't agree with him. We have to, moving forward, have a mind that allows us to have principled disagreement without destroying and eviscerating each other. And Booker T. Washington was a lackey of white people who was never mind, I'm not going to even go there about his white women. I'm not going to go there. That's his personal business. But at the end of the day, we have to take him home just like we take everybody else home. We take, Reverend Jackson home. We take Barack home. None of these people were perfect people. But the idolatry without taking the whole picture of what Booker T did, because he required total obsequience from other black people. And we can't have that anymore. We have to have, as we're having now, principled disagreement with principled forward focus, but principled disagreement. So all this, people love to kiss Booker T. was all that. Booker T. Washington made it very difficult for black people who did not agree with him to exist.
Yeah. And Dr. Malveaux, I may not agree with you, but what I can say is not only is Tuskegee Institute, now Tuskegee University, a premier HBCU, just like what you used to run back in the day, is producing the type of trade talent that's necessary for the future. But most importantly, out of the National Negro Business League, Booker T. Washington created the National Negro Bankers Association. He created the National Negro Press Association. He created the
newspaper person who did not agree with him was destroyed.
Association. He created the National Negro Bar Association, the Insurance Association, the Retail Merchants Association, the Negro Real Estate Association, the Negro Real Estate Undertakers Association, the Negro Teachers Association. The list goes on and on and on and on. So all I'm saying is we can argue semantics. We don't have to agree or disagree. There's a lot of leaders that's not perfect. I personally believe that his economic sovereignty, self-determination, self-reliance is the perfect message for today. And I believe that not only do we see youth coming back to his philosophy because it believes in economic sovereignty and independence. That's just my personal view. It's not worshiping, because I take from all of my history. But at the end of the day, what the point that I'm trying to make, as we look at building financial and economic sustainability in our communities, we have to know what the future marketplace looks like. And that future marketplace is going to be digitized. And I always say the revolution will not be televised. It will be digitized. And if you do not embrace AI is not something to scare you. It's a tool. That tool can assist you in 10xing, 11xing, 20xing your business, right?
Well, I don't disagree with you, but what do you say about the people that Booker T. Washington destroyed? Thomas Fortune. I could call the list down. What do you say about that?
I wasn't living back then, but what I can do
You're making excuses. You're making excuses for a man who decided to crush other black people because they did not agree with him.
No, I'm just telling you what he built and what is still around in 2026. Most people of our leaders, when I look at a leader, I say, what did you do? What did you build? And what kind of legacy did you leave? And I can touch, feel, and taste Booker T. Washington. I can actually go down and I can see what had actually transpired. So yes, he wasn't a perfect individual. I'm sure a lot of people would not agree. I'm not here to defend Booker T. Washington. I'm here to promote what I believe, that as we aim towards AI and digitalization, as we start to move towards trade like skill set businesses for our children. Microsoft just announced $140 million trade school for AI and digitalization. So this is going to be the new workforce. It's the Booker T. Washington model. Microsoft is adopting it. Okay. So when we look at the framework behind all of this, we're going to have to really look at where are the jobs going to be. We can't beg for a job at somebody else's table anymore. We're going to have to create our own jobs that we own and control so that we can be the number one employer of our people. And if we do work for someone else's table, it's going to be from a contractual standpoint. So those skill sets can be commoditized, and most importantly, it can be turned into a business that is profitable for individuals, families, and communities. That's my statement.
So,
I don't disagree with you on much of this, but let us not replicate the obsequious white kissing rather, that Booker T. Washington did to attempt to advance our people. Let's be clear about some of that. For whatever good he did, he also put us in an inferior position and chose to basically kiss white folks behind. That's what he did. Let's not get away from that. If that's how you have to do it, fake it to make it, okay. But let's not try to obscure that it is a horrible part of his legacy.
Well, I completely disagree with you. I mean, it's not ass kissing when you still have Black institutions and Black agendas that were fulfilled by him being able to negotiate and work with all presidents and use their money to help put in place the institutions that you still see today. So if white folks want to use their money to support the Black agenda, we will accept that check, because one thing I know about Booker T. Washington, he was the honest broker. We do not have
the dishonest broker. When he destroyed Thomas Fortune, when he went after Ida B. Wells.
I don't know if this is a conversation of building. I'm trying to keep it positive. I'm trying to, I responded to her statement with my view. It's not a back and forth. I respect her opinion. But Dr. Malveaux, I disagree with you. All that I'm saying is that we missed the honest broker today, because those people that go into those rooms to represent Black folk, they don't cut the deal for the Black community.
Well, let's agree to disagree.
Because right now our communities are at the bottom
of the ladder
in society. So we really need the 2026 Booker T. Washingtons of the future who can go in and negotiate with the mainstream power structure to receive a Black economic success if they write the check to fulfill that.
Okay, so we're going to move on, family. And listen, I like what you guys said. We're going to agree to disagree, because the reality is that with unity and with 16 different voices, like in our HAPI to Shy conference, a little plug in there, is that, at the end of the day, I think that we can all agree that we want to move Black people forward.
Period.
And we have 16 different ways on how that's going to happen, and be communicated to people. And that's really important. I think we need to lean into the things that we can agree on and let that ride us. And the things that we disagree on, we have to leave those behind, because we can't move forward in that way. And I was thinking, the reason why I asked this question was because my son, he was attending a HBCU, and, at some point I was like, you're not doing as well as I think that you should be at an HBCU that costs a lot of damn money. Okay, let me just keep it real. Okay, so in the coming home and getting your mind right, he was like, he started going to a trade school, and I was like, the money, the trade school, and eventually he might go back to school, or he might not. But I think that because I saw that there's like in the chat, people are going back and forth. They're like, if you have a college degree, you're this and that. No. I think that one of the things that college affords you, is community, and it affords you a group of people that could remain your not only your business owner. I mean, not business owner, but like they can build like business relationships there's so many things that comes out of when you go to a college, okay, that is not always just about your degree. So I'll never be a person that says, oh, I don't think you need to go to college. You know, but I am thinking about, like, how do we get out of this financial piece that we're in right now, just collectively as a people? And I like actually what all three of you guys are saying. So it's not just a one thing, okay? It's not just, oh, we're just going to do this. We have to do a lot of things, but the main thing is that we have to be, like what Dr. Harris said in the beginning, strategic, and we have to have a plan. That's very, very important. But I want to ask you guys about the Black dollar, because this seems to be now something that's like a myth in terms of the Black dollar circulating within our community. Some people say that, you know, it stays in our community for six hours. Some people are like, no, that's just a myth. It stays in the community much longer. What is your take on that? All three of y'all, like, what's your take on that?
Let's let Crystal start with this. Dr. Harris and I have been taking up all the time. Let's let Crystal start with this.
I actually, because you all are the economists, I was going to let you go with this one, because I honestly don't know how long it circulates. Yeah, I have no idea. Dr. Harris, how long does the Black dollar circulate in the Black community? I'm going to say not very long.
I would say for that question, it doesn't even matter, because we can't even measure it, like Dr. Malveaux said. You know, so what's the metrics? Circulate the dollar and do what? You know, are we strategically building communities based where on our economics, where we own and control?
We have so many tools.
You know, do we have the Black-owned school? Do we have the Black-owned hospital? Do we have the Black-owned Target? Are our neighborhoods and communities being structured around, you know, Black economic spending, right? And so when we look at it from that perspective, it's about building something, right? And so when I look at dollars, there's a reason why we spend our money outside of the community, is because it's not coordinated in a way to where we can support unless it's online, right? And even from that vantage point, there's no collectivism behind it, because we are fractured as a community. We need to heal. We need to come together. We need to work together. We need to be collective in our mindset, not personality driven, but institutional driven. And our institutions, you know, the civil rights institutions need to be working with the economic institutions. You cannot have an economic discussion or have individuals who are not trained, nor is their mission statement to deal with Black business and economics. They should be working directly with the business community. So the National Black Chamber of Commerce, other business organizations, National Business League, etc. These are the organizations that should be having a conversation about economics in the future, along with our HBCUs, where we should have the brightest minds, the brightest Black minds in the world, and we should be coming up with a plan. So this is what you're going to have at our national conference that's going to take place in August, Felicia. We're actually calling it Project 2035. They had Project 2025. We're going to come up with our own agenda, except it's going to be towards a national economic sovereignty think tank. So we're bringing together 1,000+ of world leaders to Atlanta to have an economic conversation on what the future looks like for us, not begging to be at somebody else's table, but to create our own tables, to now channel Black dollars into Black businesses. And most importantly, how to shift from an economy that depended on employees to an economy that's going to depend on a skill set enterprise, right? And so with AI and digitalization, we are having 100 AI sessions, 100 AI summits. We're going to bring together keynote speakers of some of the brightest Black minds in the world. And we're going to talk about not only how do we participate in this economy, but how we own the future economy. And I think that is the future conversation. We're tired of participating. We're tired of asking and begging for inclusion. We need to own and control our own destiny. If you don't own it, someone else owns your agenda. And so now we're going to lead a new economic revolution, and we're going to digitize at least 1 million more Black businesses so that we can participate, not only be included. And the reason why we're included in participating is because we own and control the infrastructure. And that's where the jobs are going to come from in the future.
Yeah, there you go, family. You always do this conference by my birthday.
I know.
Not that I'm taking it personal, but I'm just saying. It's the end of August. As long as it doesn't intervene, it doesn't, get in the way or interfere with the HAPI and Shy. So, family, you can just have a good old time this whole summer. All right. This is happening in Atlanta. And we went, it was like, I think 3 years ago, we went to this conference.
Yes.
It's a spirited event, family, very well organized. And I'm also going to put the link in the chat so you can be able to click and get tickets.
So last year, Felicia, we had over 3,000 people from around the world representing 33 Pan-African diasporic countries from Africa, South America, the Caribbean. And the National Business League is back, bigger than it's ever been before. But this is a business conversation. We are bringing together the world's business leaders together because that is our mission statement. So we're not, as you see, we got a Black-owned sponsor who's the presenting sponsor, Traffic Sales and Profit. They put up $100,000 to sponsor the conference because we're making a statement that we can do this on our own. We can be economically sovereign. We don't have to beg nobody to fund our organizations. And most importantly, we can create our own tables. And so the talk shops are over with. We're moving away from talking. We're actually doing. We're going to put a strategic plan together called Project 2035, and we're going to have an economic sovereignty agenda. We got the message. The message was, we don't want you at our tables. Stop begging to be at our tables. So we got the message, just like Booker T. Washington. Okay.
I was with you until you went there.
Gonna do our thing.
Until you went there.
So come hang out with us. As you saw, Felicia, at our conference, we had the world's best businesses in the world. We had the community. We make our conference free to the community, which means this is not the ivory tower conversation. We have actually been communicable, and it's under my leadership now. I'm the 16th national president of the National Business League. So I'm leading us into the future, but it's a collective thing. So you see all the logos at the bottom representing over 100 plus economic institutions. So guess what? We're not begging. We're not kissing nobody's ring. I always say Negroes with egos is a no-go. We are moving into the future, and we're doing it effectively, and we're doing it together as a collective using African ancient Kemetic principles and how we mobilize. We're going back to the origins. Africa was the first nation state in ancient Kemet. It's time for us to now rebuild our national economic state. And I'll leave it at that.
So, since you took it over, my brother.
Felicia, I have a question. You started
this. Took it over very effectively. Just do you, boo.
Okay, wait, Chris. I'm sorry, Crystal had a.
So you your last question was like, how long does the black dollar circulate, right? Mm-hmm. And I think we need to get past asking that question. And I think a better question winds up being, how can we build black businesses so that we don't have to come back and ask this question again? Because if we build and have more black businesses, the black dollar can ultimately circulate better. And when we think about all of the things that Dr. Harris said and what we need to do with these black businesses, when we're building them, and they are not just the mom and pop shops, where they can then also hire people that look like us to work in those businesses, and we can set them up so that they become generational businesses. Some of this stuff starts to solve its own problem.
Mm-hmm. So how, like this?
I think that Crystal has a really good point about how we build black businesses and what what we need to do to build Black businesses. And part of it is an issue of scale. In other words, we have lots of tiny little Black businesses. I think someone earlier talked about the number of one-person businesses, the sole proprietorships. Okay, they've provided sustenance, but what's their scalability? So I think the issue of scalability is one that we need to deal with. How many people can you hire? How many people can you, how many families can you support? This is research that I did years ago, haven't looked back at it, but one of the things we know is that Black women do better in Black-owned businesses. That Black women advance more quickly, have better jobs in Black-owned businesses. So there are lots of opportunities and possibilities, but I think that we also have to be extraordinarily pragmatic about what we're doing and the capital flow. I think the biggest issue often is a capital flow. People keep saying, well, we're not begging. We're not begging, but if we don't have the capital, we do have much of the capital, but not all of the capital. If we don't have the capital, our businesses cannot thrive. They will limp along, and this becomes a big issue. And where we are right now with business, especially with the elimination of many of the SBA, minority business, other efforts, where we are in terms of business is that we are in an environment that is hostile to Black business, extraordinarily hostile. And so the question becomes how we then offer new models for collaboration.
Yeah, it seems like this is like a circle, and it's like when you're playing, when they're doing double dutch, you're like, how can, just kind of get in there, right? So we understand that we need people to support these businesses that are like under 10 employees so that they can have the capital to expand, and also building, I don't know if we necessarily need banks in the traditional sense that banks are today, but we definitely need, places that we control our money and, for lending and things, things of that nature, so that we can be able to then lend to these places, these businesses to help the scale too. And so I'm just trying to figure out, like, how do we get into, this circular motion of finances, if that makes sense. It's like
we also have to get them to walk through the door. Like I've had organizations contact me to say, these women went through these programs, and at the end of the program, they were supposed to be able to go get the finances. Well, it's not just that easy to go walk through the door, because again, you got these wounds that's running their story. I went through the program. Now I need to go ask for the money. Right. But again, if these wounds are running my money story, it's hard for me to go walk down that road to then say, okay, well, and also, am I going to ask for just what I need, or am I going to just go and ask for everything that I can go and scale? So it's all of these things that what I know is there's not one single answer that's going to get us where we need to go, right? It's all of these pieces have to come together, and we have to work together. And I'm going to come back to this over and over again. I can't get through that gate if I haven't healed what's keeping me out of that gate, right? And that's the awareness piece has to come, because you have to, first of all, be aware of the very thing that's keeping you out of the gate. So yeah, I got I've gone through all of these courses. I have my business plan. I have my portfolio. I have my performer. I have all of this stuff, but then I still won't go get the money in order to be able to scale. Well, that's not someone who's incompetent. That's not someone who doesn't necessarily know how to lead a business. That's something internal that's running that story. They're keeping them from doing that. So until we look at someone in their totality and everything that's going on in them, we can't just plug them into a business school. We got to also work on the individual to get them where they need to be.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with this whole situation in terms of it's not a one thing, and we have to look at the whole situation holistically, because this is not going to work if we don't. I had a question about So I know that you run the Crystal, the Black Chamber Commerce in Detroit.
In Detroit.
Yes. So can you just talk to us and just tell us what a Chamber of Commerce is and how? I mean, is it something that's effective? Is it not? And yeah, just give us a little history of the Chamber of Commerce.
So it's effective in what every chamber does, what they see needed in the community. We in Detroit have the benefit of having the leadership of Dr. Harris in this community, right? And one of the things that we always do is look at the state of Black businesses in and around the city of Detroit and hold banks and other organizations accountable for things like lending to these Black businesses, right? And so once again, I believe Black chambers are very, very important because there are certain things that Black businesses need that they're not going to get from other chambers. So when we come to that and then are able to go to like the National Business League convention, where a conference where we can see others that look like us and being able to make those connections and talking the language that we need to talk. I don't know. I think it has an impact because it also gives them community. Being a business owner can be a very lonely place.
Yeah,
right? It can be a very, very lonely place. And where do you go in order to get support from people who will genuinely support you, but also winds up being a voice for you out in this community? And that's really what you get when you're part of a Black chamber. Dr. Harris, you want to add to that any?
Yeah, I just believe, again, when we get away from personality-driven economics to institutional-driven economics, we are able to advocate appropriately in environments, both with the public and private sector, at the city, the municipal, the township, the state level, the federal level, et cetera. And we're a nonpartisan organization, so regardless of who's in politics, a collective Black business voice gets to go to the table and bring forward their intentions and their demands. And that's what we're missing today is economic structures. We have a lot of civic and social structures which are beneficial to the communicable process. But what is missing and what we're going to have leading us forward in the future post 2026 in AI and digitalization environment are economic institutions with historical significance and legacy. Our legacy institutions have significant impact in our local and federal and national communities. And so, regardless of, I can look at my board of directors, you go through BE 100 magazines. I don't get into politics because it's not necessary, because economics should be first, but we're dealing with the political system. So what a Black chamber can do in its local community is engage the political system, right? What we have done, regardless of who's president, since I've been president of the Business League, I've had the luxury of working with President Obama, working with President Trump, working with President Biden, now working with, we just took 191 CEOs to meet with President Trump. And we put forward what we would like to see our economies look like. And when you don't have that collective institutional voice at the table, then you're usually on the menu. And that's where we are missing right now, is that we don't have a collective institutional economic institutions with legacy and history at the table convening for us to push our agenda forward. So one, I got to give my hat off to Crystal. Detroit is actually a special place. You have some of the most successful Black businesses in America in the city of Detroit, large in part because of the automotive sector. I want to give my hat off to the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who just went to the Ancestry. What he was able to do in the 1960s to bridge contracting and procurement opportunities for Black-owned businesses. Some of those businesses are still our major employers today, but we've lost a lot of them. And now that he's gone, he almost have signaled to us what that new shift must be. So let's get our institutions back together. Black chambers in your local communities. If you don't have one, form one. There are business leagues in every single community. We have chapters in all 50 states and internationally. You can join the business league. Our mission is economics. We're not a civic group. We're not a social group. We're commerce driven, but we do work closely with all of our other community partners. So that is the future, in my opinion. You can't have someone who is not an expert or actually hands-on with what they're doing, leading something that they don't understand. And that's where I think our problem is. I would rather have Dr. Malveaux.
Brother Harris, forgive me for interrupting you. I've got to jump. This has been very useful and pleasant. I've learned a lot from my colleagues, even those that I have disagreed strongly with. But this has been a learning opportunity for me. So I want to appreciate you guys and thank you. I have to do something at 9 o'clock, which is about 5 minutes from now, and I've got to pull the paperwork to do it. So thank you guys. Take good care.
Thank you, Dr. Malveaux.
I don't know how to get out of here. Bye.
Okay.
Wait. White girl, bye.
Okay, you have to enter the bottom left-hand corner, Dr. Malveaux. There's a red button that says. Okay.
She's off the main screen now. Yeah.
One of the things that she mentioned early on was that we're so disconnected, and having those Black chambers around the country, around the globe, gives an opportunity for those businesses to be connected to a place, right? Again, it's a lonely place being an entrepreneur. So when you can be connected to that, and they then have that voice that's speaking for them and making sure that the needs of those Black businesses are being, considered. It's something that I believe is imperative. And if we are going to continue to move this needle forward, it's a necessary part of this agenda. You have to belong to a business chamber. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't, I think if nobody gets anything from this conversation we're having tonight, the number one thing is that you cannot do this by yourself.
You cannot.
There's nothing about getting to a place of financial freedom that we can do by ourselves. And so when we're looking at entrepreneurship, and I know that you have, Dr. Harris has been really, distinguishing the difference between business and business, right? And getting all those documents together. And, I remember you said that to me years ago, and I started looking at some of the businesses that I frequent, and I was like, oh, wow, they're like, this place is doing business. They're not really, some of those key things. And I understand what you're saying, Crystal, that if you're not in a mental space where you understand the importance of those things, you're not going to be able to then grow the business and do all those things. So in terms of helping with the healing piece, is the chamber a place where that could happen? Is that a conversation, or is that not something that Chamber of Commerce's do?
Well, I think it is something that should happen and can happen. They just then have to adopt it and understand the importance of it. I think one of the things that through my work and just watching how this plays out is we have not looked enough at what's actually running the money story, right? That's something that I'm naturally good at. Because I'm naturally good at cabinet making doesn't mean I'm naturally good at running a cabinet making business, right? And a lot of times people think, well, I know how to do this. Yeah, you know how to make cabinets, but you don't know how to do all of the other things associated with that. Then again, because we are disconnected, because the silence wound runs through you as well, so that you got the disconnected wound and you got the silence wound, you're not asking for the help that you need. So if we have these organizations, the chambers included, that says, hey, not only are we fighting for you to be able to get the money that you need to run this business, not only are we holding these other these banks and et cetera accountable to lending to you, but we also got to get you to the table where you can go get the money and what that looks like. And part of that is the healing. You got to have your paperwork in order. And again, it's not either or, it's both and. You got to have your paperwork in order. And it's not just saying, oh, get your mindset together. Because what if I don't even know what's running this thing that's keeping me from going to do that? So I believe, and it's part of my goal is to, get with other chambers and saying, hey, this is something that people really need to look at, because when you start to heal those wounds, so much other stuff starts to heal just naturally as a result of that. So again, I don't believe we will ever get to where we want to get as a people until we start to heal individually in these wounds and our businesses either, because those same wounds, they show up in your personal side, but they also show up in your business every single day.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, we're getting ready to wind down. I did want to let the family know that so Dr. Harris, talk to us for a few minutes about this event that you're going to be at. Caribbean, God, I need to be there. I'm gonna be those 2 days. I'm gonna be in Chicago and Detroit. But I tell you, this is the place I need to be. Just relax on the beach. Go ahead. Talk to us about this.
One of the luxuries of life is being able to travel and be with our melanated people all over the planet. So whenever I go to Africa, South America, the Caribbean, we have our jewels, and Bridgetown, Barbados is one of those jewels. So in terms of our Caribbean economic agenda, there's an actual forum that is taking place that's bringing together investors, bringing together specialists and experts from all over the world to talk about developing the Caribbean. In which, again, that economic sovereignty conversation comes into place. And so the ultimate goal is, like the flyer says, to connect and capitalize and create. So I'm one of the keynote speakers at this year's conference. I'm excited about it. It's an almost sold out event. We got folks coming from all over the world to talk about how we participate and own and control our stake in the Caribbean economy, and how they can build their economies for themselves. And most importantly, that we start to mobilize the type of investment and capital through our own hands that's going to be necessary for us to play in this game. As you all know, we got great ideas as Black people. Where we don't have access is capital. So we have to mobilize capital, not just as a part of the menu, but as a primary objective of economic development. I always ask people who come to me, they have a wonderful idea, a marketable plan, a plan that can be scaled both nationally and globally. And then we get to that one favorite conversation, and that is, do you have the capital? Right? And the answer, we know what that is. So now, as opposed to always complaining about capital, we're going to do like Booker T. Washington did and start to mobilize capital infrastructure, both domestic and abroad, so that we can start to fund our own businesses with our own capital. When we're able to do that effectively, we're able to not only build our neighborhoods, build our communities, but now we can have a more nation state philosophy with the global economy that is in front of us. So this conference, if you all can come out June 18th and 19th, I leave out tomorrow. It's going to be exciting. If you haven't been to the Hilton Barbados Resort, it's right off the beautiful ocean.
You just rubbing it in now.
Right.
And if you haven't, met Barbadian people, they're the most hospitable, loving, family-oriented people, and the food is outstanding. But we are here for business first, and investment in capital, and then we're going to have a great time with the culture. So thank you so much for acknowledging this particular event.
Yeah, and you know what? At the National Business League conference that I went to 3 years ago, I met the individual from Barbados who, you remember, you had him. His booth was across from ours, and we had actually a very good conversation about Barbados and just starting a business, and this. He was really, really helpful. I get you his name. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I gotta tell you about it because you gotta tell him hi for me.
Okay. Well, they already asking about you. You're a global figure, Felicia. So don't try to act like you just from Detroit and Harlem at this point. You travel the world pretty extensively.
I have traveled the world. I have. My dad was in the Air Force. We've been everywhere. I'm a firm believer on people should travel. Like that's very, very yeah. It's very, very important. So, one thing I wanted to say, because I'm reading some of the stuff that's in and out the chat. And, it's something you said a couple minutes ago, well, maybe half an hour ago, Dr. Harris. We were talking about taking, white people's money and then, making, building our own businesses. Yeah. And I think one thing that's really important, I think that people need to understand about not only you and the National Business League is that when you're really clear about Black people.
Yeah.
You're extremely clear and you're not signing no deals for anybody to sell anybody out. You're taking the money, and because I've seen Dr. Harris in action, and he's taking the money and telling you what you're going to do with the money. And there's not this is a matter of fact. There's not one piece of selling out any Black person. I think, and if you've ever lived in Detroit, this is a Detroit thing. Detroiters operate this way. It's just that they see Black because there's always Black around us, and we're not apologizing for it. It's just how it is.
No, if I can, and I appreciate that. Yeah. It's nothing but love. I've been in this game, for a very long time. We straight Black with it. Detroit, I was fortunate enough, where everything around me was Black owned and controlled. I'm a proud Detroiter, West Side Detroit, Dexter and Livernois. We always going to represent that. But at the end of the day, when there's access to opportunity, if GM wants to come forward, or Stellantis, and I'm going to let you know, during COVID, Stellantis, formerly known as Chrysler, one of the major automotives, came to the National Business League, and they said, right now we recognize there's a problem with the George Floyd movement, right? We recognize that these economic shutdowns have impacted the Black community. And we want to support a program that you have, Dr. Harris, that we can measure during this period. So guess what they did? They put up $1.6 million over a 6-year period for us to develop a Black supplier program. Guess what that Black supplier program has did? And sometimes we make a mistake when we think about a major corporation. These are the Black individuals at these companies that came to a Black organization that had political influence over the budget and came to the National Business League to put a solutionary program together towards a problem. And guess what we did in 5 years? We created over $150 million in contracts to Black businesses. Okay, so when we say leveraging economic support, it's not about white or Black. It's about the honest broker, having organizations and individuals who are in position to make change, not for the individual or the individual business owner, but for the collective Black business community. And that's where we have to go for the future. So I really don't want to hear what anybody trying to say. If someone comes to me or another organization and they want to support a Black agenda, we're not going to turn that money down if we're using it to do exactly what the community needs to have a solution for, period. So people can agree with that, disagree with that, but I can tell you right now, there is no movement without capital. There is no agenda if it's not funded. There is no true economic progress if you do not have the capital and investment behind what you're trying to do. And that's one thing that we have to mobilize. So guess what? We're not depending on corporate dollars, but if they want to support, we're not going to turn them away. Our primary focus is that we become economically sovereign as a Black community with our own capital, our own banks, our own venture capital, our own angel investment, our own community collective pooling of dollars, the $2 trillion, to support economic and enterprise activity that we own and control. Now, to me, that's being Black.
Yeah, it's very Black. And listen, I was in a Black I was in a Black room with Dr. Harris, and it was one of the most powerful things ever, because there were Black folks that had their own businesses that were very successful. Somebody had flew there in their own jet. I forgot the guy's name. But then there were people who worked in a lot of these corporations, okay, that we know that were high up, and they were like, okay, look, this is what we're going to do with these people money.
That's right.
And I think this is the piece that we're missing. You know, listen, family, these are conversations that we have to be really honest about when we're trying to talk about financial freedom. It's nice, you know, for us to go around and, you know, say, oh, we're going to all be together and we're going to do all this stuff. But we actually have to we got to be able to go into these rooms and do business in a real Black way. And I don't care about taking white people's money, especially if it's helping Black folks and I'm not selling myself out. And there's a way for us to do that. And it's just, you know, I'm thinking about what Crystal was saying in terms of like knowing who you are and how you have to be in a really good state of healthiness about who you are, and just who you are as a person, who you are as a Black person, who you are as a woman or a female or a man. Because when you go into these places, you can't be messing around, you know. And a lot of times we see Black folks in situations, because we always talk about those Black folks and like, oh, you know, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're not helping the Black people. That's because they don't know who they are. They don't know where their bread is buttered. But if you do know where your bread is buttered and you're clear and you have a plan, why not take the white folks' money? I'm just saying, family.
Well, let's take it to.
And not even what. Go ahead.
Crystal, I saw Crystal. I need to be quiet when Crystal speaks. I just love. But just really quick, let's take it back to our ancestral foundational roots. We know that race was created. There's only one human race.
That's it.
And that's the Black man and woman that everybody came from, right? So why do we fall into the trap of these little divided and conquered type of scenarios when at the end of the day, all the root elements and origins of everything comes back to Blackness?
Oh, wait.
Okay? So if the root origin elements of everything comes back to Black people, that means we founded economics and entrepreneurship too.
Absolutely.
So the world was trained on what we demonstrated and manifested, brought into reality. They stole, put a white face on it, and now they are now benefiting from our original and foundational economic principles. So at the end of the day, when it's time to negotiate, we should be expansive to any form of economic control and ownership, regardless of race, creed, color, because we are the origin. Black people. Okay, so let's just keep that where that is, and I will debate with anybody who wants to debate with me who the primary people on this planet who civilized this world and who formed humanity. I'll tell you exactly where that comes from, and I'll actually take you there with Felicia and Chris. We can touch the
we can tell you, we can
exactly where all of this comes from. Yeah. So while we worried about where money comes from, when we coming back to what we used to be, which is we don't have limitations. We're the origin.
Yeah. And when I teach finances, it's that piece, right? So it's never just about the numbers. There's some remembering that has to happen. And so when I look at those 5 layers that really run those wounds, one of them is the extracted layer, and that's just what Dr. Harris was talking about, what was taken from us and then packaged as their genius and sold back to us, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and everybody, look, one of the ones that is so simple and easy to see is like everybody that we know that look like us knows someone in their family that was the numbers runner. We did that in our community, and it helped a lot of people in our communities. Well, they made it illegal, and now it's the lottery. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
So all of these things. So when I'm teaching finances and healing, it's also I'm giving them this knowledge as well, saying, hey, listen, part of the reason why you have to do this thing and you have to redefine your financial relationship is, one, because listen, it was built on our backs. We did all of these things originally, but so many people don't know that. So when I talk about it, it starts a remembering, because the body never forgets.
The body never forgets.
It's in the DNA. So the more they hear it, they're like, well, wait a minute. It all started with us. And so again, we've been led to believe that we're not, we're just not good with money. No, it all started with us. So the more we remember, the more we heal. Again, some of these problems wind up taking care of themselves, but people have to step into it and recognize, and at some point, we gotta just keep pushing and talking about the future. Yeah, we gotta look back, but we also have to, we can't stay back there. We have to talk about what are we doing and how are things changing and how are we gonna make it better for the future? Because if we get stuck back in the past, we'll never free the future. Absolutely. We'll never free the generations that follow.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And I want to say it's amazing to watch Dr. Harris, right? When you talk about how he says, yep, I'm going to take your money, and this is exactly how we're going to spend it. And then the people that are writing the checks are smiling, even when they don't look like us. And so to see that happen and to see someone saying economics are not emotional and not partisan, it's what are we doing to move the Black agenda forward unapologetically? And that's, I think, where we are, all of us on this call.
Mic drop.
Yeah. And I also think that, you can, it's all in how, and this is why, I keep saying, I want to say it forever and ever and ever. Black men need Black women and Black women need Black men, because to be in a presence of a Black man, handling himself as a Black man, not kowtowing, not looking down like, oh, well, maybe can I get this? All of that. Dr. Harris is looking you dead in your face. He's talking real straight. His voice is not changing. It's not doing any of those things. And I think that these are some of the things that, that's been really sold back to us as masculine toxicity. This is a whole different conversation, but I'm just saying, I think that we need to really be clear about what a Black man does.
But you know how we get to do that?
What a Black woman does, because these things, this is how, that's why I'm not, listen, take anybody's money if Dr. Harris is in charge, because I know how he operates.
We get to do it, and he gets to speak that way, and we get to have these type of events, conferences, and things of that nature when you're free.
When you're free,
you get to do this. And so when you watch him in action, you are absolutely watching a free man.
And we all have access to that, family. And let me, and I think that's, I know, like, just in working with HAPI, that freedom starts to come because you start to see what it is, and you start to, and it's all happening, simultaneously. You're also healing yourself. You're looking to see who you are, because once you really start looking to see who we are, you're like, damn, it's like we are really, talk about creating everything. It's like no one else can do what we do and have done.
And it's a reclamation, but you cannot reclaim what you don't remember, right?
Exactly.
And so that's part of our role, reminding us of who we really are.
And it's masculinity, recognizing not in front or back femininity in the pure, that we all come from the womb and it's the birthplace, but it is us together, not forward or backward, but side by side, which is Kemetic principle.
Yes.
This is why I come and I hosted the most incredible HAPI conference in Detroit several years ago, standing room only. We in the community. You know what they say in New York, what you guys say, you know, we outside, right? So this is real. This is a Black PhD, our best and brightest that Felicia and Taki and the rest of the family has brought together. And I don't know if she's going to show the fire, but when you got Dr. Bello, you got Jehutimus, you got, you know, our good friend Jabari coming, you got Queen Afua, you got Dr. Malveaux, you got Robin Walker, and it's all up. I love the exchange between myself and Dr. Malveaux. Black people get it confused sometimes. We're tribal and collective in our coming together. We don't always have to agree as long as we aiming towards the same thing, which is Black liberation. And if it doesn't lead to Black liberation, then what are you doing it for? So this is why we come into the shop, okay? Power 3 days, educators, scholars, economists, health practitioners, entrepreneurs, cultural leaders. This is Negroes without egos, right? And we are saying that we need an agenda on culture, economics, politics, education, entrepreneurship, and community development. That's what we need. And so now this conversation is being hosted. And we come into the hood, we come into the city, right? So it ain't like we out here pontificating till ad nauseum, or we out here intellectually and scholar flexing, or seeing who has the biggest anatomy. We saying, no, folks, we are in 2026. What are we going to do for our grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren? What foundations, economic foundations, are we going to put in place for the future, taking the best from our past, learning from the areas that we failed or did not make it, because there's no such thing as right or wrong. There's only lessons and blessings. So all this tribal warfare stuff, if it don't lead to economic liberation, then what are you doing it for? I question you. And this is why you need to show up July 24th through the 26th in Chicago, Illinois, for the HAPI and the Shy Power and Unity Conference. It's only 3 days. No excuse. This is about our future. This is about our situation. We're going to be at the DeSable Black Historical Museum. If you've never been to the Black Museum, then you need to get there. All right? You're going to hear from the nation's best intellectual scholars, including Crystal Gunn, who got access to the financial guru. Okay? She's going to help you get your business in order so that when you meet her, you schedule an appointment. And if you want to know how to be financially healed, she's going to help you do that. Okay? And it's going to be hundreds of people like that, including myself. So I endorse this movement whenever HAPI comes, and I fly in on my own dime. I'm not begging them, oh, put me up in a luxury hotel. I need a first class flight. I need you to put me up at the top of the Ritz-Carlton. I need you to have the red carpet. I need you to contact my 2 or 3 assistants. No, Negro, take their ego, move to the side. This is a revolution. If you say you are what you are, then put your money up and invest in the movement, not extract from it. And use the Kemetic, Hermetic laws, and use the laws of ancient Kemet and the principles of Ma'at, because we know that when you invest in something, there's reciprocity. The reciprocity is you get to be around Black excellence. Okay? So Detroit was Black excellence. This one is power and unity again in the shot. So come through. Sorry about that, Felicia. I didn't mean to, you know.
No, that's a perfect commercial. Yo, like that's what's up. I mean, I don't have nothing else to say other than go to happyfilm.com to get your tickets. And listen, while we're on we're getting ready to give a ticket right now. Dr. Harris gave us a question. Okay. So I'm going to first let me just put up the email address, because family, I done said this like 1,200,000 times, and I'm gonna say it again. Don't put your answer in the chat. Don't put it in the chat. You have to just email. So I'm gonna put up the email address. Okay, I'm gonna put up the email address that everyone's gonna use. Okay, family, it's happyandtheshy@gmail. Okay, so everybody just open a little browser, or not a browser, like your phone, whatever you're not looking on, your laptop, whatever. Just go to the to the page with your mail. Put in Happy and the Shy right now. Okay, and this is the winner of this will get the 1 day event that's happening on Saturday. That's the longest day. We start off with some drums, and then we end at night. Okay, it's going to be a fun-filled. Oh my! And one of the things that I think Dr. Harris can really talk to is that when we did the first one, the Power and Unity in Detroit, we didn't know how it was going to go, but it was standing room only. But the coolest thing about it, and if you look at any of our social media and see pictures, you had speakers and people that were participants just all vibing in one area. Like we were just hanging out. We took over the hotel. We literally had the hotel. That marketplace, we had a separate room for all the vendors, and they was like, nah, we're gonna be up there with y'all. So we packed the vendors in there. We had, it was such a beautiful experience. And then we continued it. We had a 1 day in New York City. Dr. Harris came through. It was the coldest ass day ever. But he's from Detroit, so he's used to it. And that was, beautiful. So that's
the line was wrapped around the corner.
Yep. I was like, they staying outside this cold. We was like, okay, the people just got to get in. It was just so cold. And so Happy and the Shy, this is really we're continuing to step up. It's 3 days, and we have so many moving parts. And family, it is an investment, but it's not just an investment. Like, it's not going to any of us. This is really an investment in yourself. And you want to be you want to be in the room. Like, there's a lot of rooms we always talk about, and this table and this table, but we are creating the table, and this is the room. Okay, this is the room you want to be in. Like this right here. This is not the virtual room. This room is where you want to be. So family, if you can make it happen, make sure you come through. And everybody in Chicago, you guys just don't have no excuse. Y'all just got to come through. All right. So, okay, here we go. happyandtheshy@gmail.com. Okay. So now, Dr. Harris, I'm going to put the question up. You got to read it fast. Okay. All right. Because sometimes I put the question up and Miss Bella was doing it. Miss Bella was doing it. She was taking her Miss Butterworth sweet time, and people are trying to get this answer in. So put it up, and we're gonna go. All right. Okay, family. So again, the 1 day, it's worth $125. You get a free ticket to come for the 1 day on July 25th, 2026. All right. Here's a question, Dr. Harris.
All right, y'all. What year was the inaugural National Negro Business League Conference, and the location? What year and the location? That's all it is. This is the first conference.
All right, fam. Right here.
Some folks getting their Google and AI on.
Listen, if I wasn't sitting here, I would be doing the exact same thing. I'd be right up on the little Google trying to figure it out. Let's see what we got going on. All right, family. And I feel like this, there was a couple of times we had some really hard ones. This is, right here, fam. And listen, while we're talking, while we're waiting for someone to come up with the right answer, family, we're going to Africa, August 20th through September 1st. It's 4 countries. We're going to 4 countries, or you can go to 3, or you can go to 2. We're doing Togo, Ghana, Senegal, and Morocco. Okay. If you go to, man, it was fast. I can't even get into my spiel. We already got a winner. All right.
Are they right?
They are right. I mean, they right. So Karen is the winner, Karen P.
Congratulations, Karen.
Okay, and here I'm going to put up the answer, and if you can read the answer. Well, I mean, you know the answer, but talk about the answer.
Absolutely. It was when we held our first Booker T. Washington convened the first National Negro League Business Conference. Hundreds of entrepreneurs and professionals came from all over the world to talk about economic sovereignty, self-determination, and to promote and commercialize Black businesses in the post-Reconstruction economy. Booker T. Washington, we even attend to call the father of Black business, because he was the first to form a national Black organization to support our economic progress. And look at us now. We here 126 years later, and I'm so proud to carry that legacy forward. But in Boston, Massachusetts is where they met. So congratulations, Karen.
All right, that's what's up. All right. Hey. All right, Karen, I sent you an email. We will, be chatting tomorrow. Listen,
Karen, please bring plenty of business cards.
Yes. Well, now you know what. Listen, because we're digitizing. If you have an iPhone, I don't understand why if you don't have an iPhone, but if you do have an iPhone, you just click with somebody else. The little information go. Your business card goes right there. But this is there's so many people that came to the first one that they still are in business relationships now. Yep. Really, yeah, they took what we said to heart in terms of being a place where you're going to be meeting, other people with like-minded, other people. And it's just really, it's spiritually uplifting and very inspirational. So I'm really excited about this, family.
Yeah, that goes back to being in the room. So you can't always make those type of connections that last when it's, when you're not in the room in the physical presence of somebody. So yeah, people definitely want to make sure they get here.
And again, this is all part of, we have to shift our mentality. So these types of convenings are necessary for us to come together, because as a community, we have to plan our way forward. We can't depend on anyone else. And, we've exhausted, in my opinion, the political route. We've exhausted the social route. We literally need to focus, as our ancestors did post-Reconstruction, on economics. This is why we had Black Wall Streets all throughout America. This is why we owned and controlled our communities. We built our communities up so powerful, they had to come and burn it down and drive railroads through it. Okay, so there was an intentional attack on Black economic progress, and we focused too much, like Dr. Claude Anderson would say, one of my mentors who wrote the books Powernomics, that we have to control the entire vertical. Okay? And economics is at the foundation, at the bottom of that vertical before we even get to politics, because if you got the economics, you can buy the politics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And most of these Negroes in politics is for sale.
Listen, family, this has been a really good conversation. And and one of the things that you were when you were talking about these like Black businesses and having your things together, I did want to say this one more time in terms of like the business aspect of, or the economic piece in the conference. So we have 16 different people. We have some people that are focusing on economics. We have people focusing on politics, and then we have people focusing on culture. All three, the pyramid analysis is Dr. J's, one of his, not I was gonna say one of his, but it's one of his best theories, or not theories, but systems that he's talked about for years and years and years. And that's really how it equals financial freedom, right? And part of that is like this business aspect and being digitized, and how you're saying bringing your business card, but also family, like the commemorative book that we have. This is, I still use businesses out of this book. Okay. Now, and I'm going to tell you, one of the things that we didn't do, even think about, I don't think at the time when we did One Africa years ago, was at this time, when you put your if you buy ad space, okay, we have everything business size. So it's like whatever your economics is, we got something for you, right? But we're also going to print. We're going to print a newsletter with everyone who has contributed their ad, to the book, with an ad. We're going to print these and we're going to hand them out all throughout the Midwest in preparation of our conference. So it's like, you're paying to be in the book, but you're also getting your information hand carried to someone else, also. So it's like you're almost getting the price for two for one. And this book is really, it's powerful because every time I show this, it's interesting. I'll get like a little text message and someone's like, "Oh, can you bring one of those extra ones to the
Felicia,
to the HAPI event?"
Are you still showing them the documentary of where economics was founded in ancient Kemet?
Well, you know what? I don't know if we can fit anything else in this time because we're packed. But because I'm always down to show HAPI, always. But they can go to Amazon, Tubi, and what's the other one? Kweli TV, which is a Black-owned streaming service. I don't know. Have you talked to her, Dr. Harris? Kweli TV?
I have. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I met her when she was just getting started, like basic in the way beginnings. And so it was really beautiful to see where she is now, Kweli TV. And also we have vendor space. We have a few tables left, family. So if you want a table, and the table is just for Saturday, because that's the day we're going to have the HAPI marketplace. You just go to happyfilm.com and you'll be able to get that space too. Well, family, do you guys have any closing words? You guys said enough. You guys had a lot to say, which is, this is because it's such a conversation, and this is just one of many that we have to keep having. And I love this idea, Ken, how you're talking about just having a strategic plan, and how you said that when they did the Montgomery busing boycott, that they planned. This wasn't something they just got on. Well, they didn't have the internet, but they just didn't call somebody and say, "Okay, let's stop shopping here." Like they had a strategic, well thought out plan that was successful at the long run. And sometimes boycotting means we have to do things differently, and but that's all part of it if the goal is worth it.
Yeah, and if all the hundreds of people who helped plan the bus boycott, it wasn't just one person, personality. If all of those people got today and they saw that in 2026, we were still using the same scenarios that they used almost 60 plus years ago, we have not evolved, advanced, and most importantly, if you're going to protest a target, where is the Black target that we send people to? The $2 billion. So that's the real conversation that we have. Yeah, you can protest something, but what is the opposite? The laws of opposite. What is that, right? So we need to own and control. And my final statement, Felicia and Crystal, and I just love being with you two intelligent, beautiful Black women. Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor. Either you own your own or you continue to be owned by someone else. Period.
There it is.
That's it. And it starts with healing. We have to heal in order to be able to come together. We do, because liberation doesn't happen without healing. It just cannot. Yeah.
So true. Well, then there it is, family. So listen, I'm going to, since I don't have, we can all say goodnight together since I don't have my buddy Hassan here,
Tell Hassan I said, what up, though?
Yeah, you listen, he gonna be up in the Shy. He coming to the Shy with me on Thursday. So we're gonna, hang out and go to some places, hand out some flyers and did
I hear you say you were gonna be in Detroit too?
And then we're gonna come to Detroit. Well, Hassan's not coming to Detroit. I'm gonna come to Detroit the next day. So
okay.
So we gotta hang. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. There it is. See, family, look, listen, this is God, I just love Black people. I love Black people. I love all you guys in the chat. Even though some of you guys were disagreeing, we love the disagreements because I know ultimately all of us are looking for financial freedom for Black folks. So that's what's
liberation.
And liberation.
That's it.
And liberation. Yep, right there. All right, fam. Thank you. Again, make sure you are liking and sharing this video. You got to share, like Jabari Ozazi says, you got to share with at least 3 people. Let's get this algorithm moving. This was a very powerful show, and more people need to see it. Okay, more of us need to see it. Yeah, I think that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. All right, family. Peace.
Peace.
Economics and politics are the foundation of human development.
While forming the world's earliest civilizations, Africans also laid the groundwork for the creation of economic systems.
By learning from our history, we gain the strength to empower the present and design the future. Presenting the premier forum for truth, culture, and change. HAPI Talks. Join us as we unlock the secrets to our success.